Poor Greg Vaughn.
Oh,
This episode is not kind to Greg Vaughn.
my guy took a lot of L's this episode.
My guy.
My guy. Well, let's just tell the people. First of all, this is Shannen Doherty's first. Is this her directorial debut?
I believe so. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, directorial debut. Think.
Actually, she's the reason I was late to record today, because she's like, call me. No other explanation. And then I sit and I call her 3 times and she doesn't pick up. Not unlike my children. Explain the Flying Nun episode in your own words.
Yeah, we can get some audio. I'd love some hot takes. Make sure we.
Explain yourself, woman. What did you read this script and be like, yeah, I want to direct that one?
So I'm going to start.
She was just excited that she got to have the techno crane because there was flying nuns involved.
I would have been panicked if this was the script. Like, hey, Drew, we're giving you your first episode to direct. And then I'm so excited and they hand it to me and I read it. I'd be like,
no, gracias. No, gracias. No.
Like, no, no, I don't want to do this.
Hard no. Him and 17-year-old Prue directing herself. It was all sorts of. It was a 3-ring circus.
Yeah, and
would she wear the braces off camera?
Oh hell yes! She was method acting. She was method acting. No, she just didn't have time. She didn't have time to do anything else. But what I did like about her directing is that I got to direct her performances because she couldn't direct herself. Ha ha.
Anything that I've ever been in that I'm directing, it's always good to have someone there that you trust. Like, let's put her on. Special guest.
What are you doing?
Which episode?
Your first episode that you ever directed in life.
I hated that episode.
Well, tell us how you really feel.
I hated that episode.
What, pray tell, did you hate?
I should have been literally on the show with you discussing this.
You're on right now. Tell her.
Because the flying thing looks so bad. Like the special effects were so bad.
Yeah.
And the way that they forced me to have her in the air flying.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look real. It doesn't look good.
No.
It's incredibly disappointing. And considering who our guest star was, that episode should have been great.
I know. French was a one-man show, we were just saying. But yeah, there was no controlling how the flying would look. There was no getting ahead of that. I talked about it and I was like, I wish they had done it just more like Lost Boys, where you don't really see them flying. You just see the motion of flying. But I guess they wanted the ridiculousness part of it as well.
What would she do differently? Ask her what she'd do differently.
I can't remember. What was the other storyline besides her flying?
You turning 17.
Braces.
Remember? You had the braces, you were dating, and yeah. And it was the genie. It was French being the genie, and you wish something
you wish for for love to feel like the first time again.
For love to feel like, you did when you were young, the first time.
Right.
When you had braces.
When you had braces.
Yeah, I don't think I liked that entire episode.
You're like, yeah, no.
I remember when I read the script and they're like, okay, you can direct this one. I remember saying to myself, reading it and being like, oh, they did this on purpose.
They give you something impossible?
Yeah, I just felt like I really honestly did feel like they did it on purpose. I was like, they're setting me up to fail is all that I could think when I read that episode.
Right. Yeah, there was no really pulling it off. Not in that day and age. The Flying Nun and this one is up there in the aerial aerobatics.
Will you ask her? Drew wants to know what she would have done differently.
Drew wants to know what you would have done differently.
I would have refused to direct that episode.
You would have been like, I'll see you guys next year.
I would have been like, no, give me a different episode. I don't want this one.
I don't want this episode either.
Yeah, that would not have been my choice. But had I been forced, I guess I probably would have requested that we didn't actually see her flying, just like you
Yeah.
suggested with like Lost Boys. Because that's the one thing that really sticks out in my mind of, you know, and I didn't really get like the budget that I asked for, I remember that they gave me like a tiny little helicopter with like a little crappy camera in it to like, you know, follow her along and do some tracking shots and do some shots where it's from her POV.
Mm-hmm.
But even that just wasn't good enough. Like I was on a restricted budget and it looked as bad as anything could possibly
As it felt. It looked as bad as it felt.
Yeah.
You did get the techno crane, though. You did get all your cranes. You did get some toys.
No, that was the last episode.
Wait, ask her. Hey, Holly, ask her. Like, did she fall in love with it immediately?
How I got, well, I can actually be on the podcast and talk to you guys about how I got all my equipment. Was that I guaranteed that if I went over, because I was over budget with the equipment.
Right.
So I said, if I'm still over budget by the time I'm done filming, I will pay every
That's right.
time I'm over budget.
I remember that. And that's how we wrapped so early.
Yeah. What was the deal? Like, how did she always wrap so early? Like, what?
Drew wants to know the secret to your wrapping so early.
Efficiency.
Efficiency. Knowing what you want helps.
It's called a shot list.
Yeah.
First off, when you're doing TV, I think you have to have a shot list.
Okay.
If you want to be done quickly, and multiple cameras. So I think I had minimum of 2 cameras, but most of the time I had 3 cameras working. So
Did you guys always have 3 cameras?
A master, grab a 2-shot, grab a close-up, all at the same time.
Right.
And then I could just turn around. And it was also forcing actors to do the blocking that works for camera, not what works for them. And also because I had a crew that was incredibly supportive and worked their tails off when I was directing. And I had the best DP in the TV game. I had Rick.
Yeah. And you worked with Rick on 90210 too.
Yeah. And I had storyboards. I had a storyboard artist come in. So everything was storyboarded.
So helpful.
I gave copies of the storyboards to Rick, my first AD, which was always Derek, script supervisor, and the camera operators. Everybody had a copy of storyboard and shot list. So everyone, first thing in the morning or the night before work, so everybody knew exactly what we were doing for the day. And I did not deviate.
See, she does her homework and then she's over prepared.
I love that so much. I'm falling more in love with her by the second. Wait, ask her, what was it like directing herself?
Drew wants to know what it's like to direct yourself. I told him that you let me direct you, but you don't take direction very well. You're like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. You were like, you should do another take. I'm like, nope, moving on.
Moving on, folks.
I'm on a schedule.
Checking the gate.
It's hard because I found myself, except for the last episode, the other 2 episodes, I found myself constantly like looking down to make sure everybody had hit their marks.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure like that everything was going as planned.
Well, you do that when you're not directing too.
That's true. I'm a director on hitting marks. I'm very much like, can you just not hit your mark?
Can you not see that there?
Like, it's right there. It's a big T. Like, all you have to do is count your steps and then repeat it. Like, it's super simple.
That's why I go with fluorescent hot pink for my marks always on set.
It was a little awkward at times, but by the 3rd episode I directed, I was better at it.
Yeah. Totally.
And it's also, then I learned to like trust their people's, like there were a few people who would be behind the monitor watching that would give me certain looks that I knew like, okay, I needed to do another take. But that last episode, like with you, like you and I had so much emotional stuff.
Yeah.
That like I had to be in the moment. I couldn't, in those scenes, I could not be a director. I had to just be your sister.
Right. Good time.
What else does Drew want to know?
Drew
Everything.
he's professing his love for you again. Now he's more in love with you. It's getting weird. It's getting really weird in here. He said
What?
she said it's mutual.
Yes.
Oh
Your
dear.
son and your sister, so weird. Is Kraus there?
Kraus is there.
We hear you. Tell her where she's on.
No, see, I have headphones on. They can hear you, but you can't hear them, which is probably better.
Oh. Well, yeah. I want to know what Kraus felt about being directed by me. Was it terrible?
Go.
Tell her what I said.
Well, PK, like, can
I was terrified.
He says he was terrified.
No, I mean, what I had already said is,
all episodes or just the first one?
Were you intimidated, or were you afraid of making a mistake and disappointing her forever?
That's the latter, the second.
He was afraid of disappointing you.
Oh,
No, I'm so proud of you. Are you kidding? You were the first
He always
actor
showed
that I
up.
ever met
He
that
always
got
did
to
a
direct television.
awesome
It's
bang-up
amazing.
job, so I was always happy. And he hit his mark.
Yeah, and he said that you were like the first actor that we knew inherently that was directing, so he was very proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Alrighty, let me call you back
Perfect.
in
All right,
about
call me back.
15 minutes. Bye.
Holy shit. He's such a good actor. And the fact that she was able to, like, I actually got to, a couple years ago, I was on set for something that she was directing, like a kind of a pilot presentation. Like, to get her to watch her work, but then to come and see this first initial thing, it's amazing. And like you said, BK, it's like, this isn't something that is given to a lot of actors. And by the way, this is 2 seasons in a row where Prue shuts the door.
It's a thing.
Well, I know I shut the door, and I remember
shut the front door.
I remember I shut the front door in season, whatever my season was, my first thing, and everyone was like, "What? You shut the door?" Like, I remember people like flipping out, or they're like, "What's the big deal? I shut the door."
It's a big deal.
It's a deal.
It's a thing.
So, what do we rate this episode? Outside
to wrap party, like, did you guys eat lunch together, or did you eat in your separate trailers?
Great question.
We did often eat lunch together. I think at this point we were still in our heyday where everybody was getting along, like, as seen in the last shot of that episode, Shannon
You're still friends.
Alyssa were sitting in the same chair and touching. Confused. I was like, wait a minute. No director made her do that. She did that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm.
So yeah, at this point we were still like screening the episodes at lunch, and everybody was, because I think it was on Thursdays or Fridays at this point, and we would never be home to watch the episodes when you didn't have a DVR. And so we were screening the episodes at lunch, and everybody's like, woo, woo, woo. This is what we do with our lives.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, was BK included in these lunch watch parties?
Yes, he was not listening to Nickelback yet. He was also in his heyday. Actually, I don't know. The marriage was on the rocks.
Couldn't go to the lunch parties.
I think you
BK,
were
you involved?
You were in full-fledged divorce mode right now. If memory.
Busy.
Yes, because
Busy.
Was I?
yeah. Because we get married soon, and yeah.
Bro.
But you guys get married?
Oh yeah.
No. I mean, where do you think you come
Couple's getting
from?
fun.
Season 3, we were very spoiled, and they actually gave us a trailer to design for ourselves. So everybody got to like put in their own floors, their own bathrooms, their own kitchen. They were really
my
trying
God,
to,
I was born in the wrong time.
They literally
God,
tried to
I
like
chose
keep
in
us
the 90s.
captive there. And so like we got to pick basically our own living quarters because we weren't going to go anywhere anyway for the next 9 months. So yeah, we all designed our own different.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And
That's cool.
Shannon's had the margarita machine, so that goes without saying.
Oh my God.
Frozen one, like a Slurpee machine, and yeah. And
Initially, Shannon wanted to end her character after this episode, but she had already signed a contract for a 3rd season. True or false?
No.
False.
It's not true.
No.
This was at a very different time and place that she wanted to end her character. And it was not when she directed it.